I'm trying to put off this Hall of Fame conversation. There's so much cliched sports talk around Halls of Fame. Like, did he deserve it? Did he not deserve it? Inevitably, some show today is going to devolve into the Pete Rose conversation. People are going to be talking about steroids, and that's going to happen on every single radio station, every single radio show across the country. So why not start today with the same crap?
Yeah.
The Hall's a joke.
Yes.
It's a total joke. I have no problem with Ichiro getting in. I have zero problem with Billy Wagner getting in. I have no issue with CC Sabathia getting in. Those are the three who were elected. No problem with those guys. They all passed my sniff test. Billy Wagner, not a big guy, but would throw 100 miles an hour as a lefty. CC Sabathia, that one playoff run with the Brewers where they would pitch him every other day. They weren't afraid. They knew he wasn't going to be a Brewer after that year, and he was rubber arm. He was outstanding. And then Ichiro, I mean, come on. One of the great arms we've ever seen. Tremendous fielder, 3,000 hits, 1,400 runs, 500 stolen bases, 10 gold gloves, MVP award, 2 batting titles, 1 season of 262 hits, 10-time All-Star selection, also got the late start because he was coming over from Japan. Mm-hmm. Here's the issue. One of these crusty, old, gas bag, baseball gatekeepers didn't check the box next to Ichiro. So Ichiro, not a unanimous Hall of Famer. Why? To prove some kind of point? We don't let guys in unanimously? The only guy who ever got in unanimously, weirdly, not that he wasn't a great player, Mariano Rivera.
Which I find very odd that he's the only guy.
I find it stupid, too. The best closer of all time, fair enough. Babe Ruth ain't unanimous?
Right.
I mean, Hank Aaron ain't unanimous? Name great player.
Yeah.
Ain't
Clemente.
Unanimous? Clemente? I mean, geez. Ichiro. All those accolades, all those compiled statistics, and some jackass goes, he can't be unanimous. And then, and I'll stop talking in a second, Dorin. CC Sabathia, yes, Hall of Famer. But if CC Sabathia is in the Hall of Fame and Barry Bonds isn't, or Billy Wagner, tremendous closer, is in the Hall of Fame and Roger Clemens isn't, what's the point? Why should I even spend any time thinking about it? Why would I even want to take my kids to Cooperstown one day? Like, the all-time greats of the sport aren't in, and guys like Billy Wagner are. Get out of here.
The whole thing is a joke. And I will say this about Ichiro. And we grew up in the time when Ichiro was in his prime. He might be the most there's two things. He might be the most complete player I think I've seen. Complete, like all around complete. And I always thought it was fascinating that he had his first name on the back of his jersey.
Yeah.
Didn't have Suzuki. But I think in situations like this, where it's clearly about a great player, Hall of Fames are about great players. We find ourselves time and time again where there's that one misfit that doesn't vote or votes opposite that keeps somebody out or unanimous, what we're talking about right now. I think that person should be exposed and have to be held accountable and do a press conference on why you made the decision. Because you know what? They're trying to make this about them.
I love it.
So you want to make it about you. You're going to sit up there in front of all kinds of people and explain why you did this.
Yes.
Because everybody else was, 99% of every person that voted this way. And you, the one, chose to do the opposite. Okay, fine. If you want to make it about you, then you're going to go up there in front of everybody, and we're going to broadcast it, and you're going to explain why that you made that decision.
Yeah, you want all the attention? Here's the attention, jerkwad.
Here you go. They should be exposed.
I am so with you. I didn't know where you were going to come down on all this. That's a great idea. A bunch of people are texting in, by the way, saying Derek Jeter was a unanimous Hall of Fame. He was unanimously elected into the Hall of Fame. That is incorrect. He also, like Ichiro, fell one vote short.
That's just, do you think it's a,
we got to protect the sanctity of baseball.
Do these things ever get leaked?
Oh, yeah. A lot of times people will release their own ballots.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if the person who did this is going to release theirs. Because you know what? I could also see it.
Coward.
I could see it being like this. I'm going to protect the sanctity of baseball. And I'm also going to remain anonymous. Because
lame.
it's not about attention. It's about being a gatekeeper
It's so
of
lame.
America's pastime.
Oh my God, it makes me upset.
But if everyone releases it except for one guy, and we know everyone else voted for Ichiro, we could weed him out that way. Everyone should be public. They should.
Yeah.
And you're right. There should basically be a public flogging. Just get this guy up there. Let's get him in front of a microphone. Explain yourself.
Yes, explain yourself.
What about all of those accolades for Ichiro Suzuki did you find was not Hall of Fame worthy? The thing about Ichiro I find interesting is like, you're that great, right? So the answer to this question is undoubtedly yes. But like, is Ichiro even close to a top 20 paid player like in today's game? He wasn't a guy that hit with a ton of power. The most home runs Ichiro ever hit in a season was 15.
But didn't he always get on base, though?
You would think his on-base percentage, 355. Not that great. His OPS, 757.
Different game.
Totally different game.
He was also, though,
Different era.
he was very clutch hitting home runs in certain moments. He didn't hit very many for a season, but he was very clutch doing it.
There was this old wives' tale's not the right way to put it. I don't even know if you're allowed to say that anymore. You'll get smacked upside the head and canceled. But there was always this thing people said about Ichiro. He hits bombs in batting practice. If he wanted to be a 30 home run hitter, he could be. So maybe Ichiro today with launch angle and the 3 true outcomes, maybe he would have, or maybe it's just a load of crap and he was a good batting practice home run guy. I don't know. But I do find him in particular interesting because he wasn't just a singles hitter. He hit a ton of doubles.
Yeah.
But he was a slap kind of guy, would steal a bunch of bases. He was an old school baseball player, and for us playing in modern times. But you don't have a lot of guys that are going to play 19 years in the league anymore with a 757 OPS. It's just a different game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not why the one guy left him off the ballot. The one guy left him off the ballot because you can't be a unanimous selection.
Because of principle. Yeah, because of principle. And it's probably not just one guy. They probably flip-flop. He probably has a crony with him. He probably has this buddy that they've been doing this for 40, 50 years. It's like, all right, I'm going to take it this year. You take it this year. So nobody figures out who it is.
Yeah, and these guys, let's just paint a picture of who you're talking about here. The guys who are, you know what? You don't vote Jeter, I won't vote Ichiro.
Right.
These guys are sitting in a McDonald's in the morning having breakfast at 7 a.m., and they're reading the Wall Street Journal print edition.
Yep.
They don't know how to use the internet. They're looking at a newspaper. They have their grandkids show them how to set up their Wi-Fi if and when they ever need to use the internet. They have no idea how the world works. They're stuck in 1984.
Yep.
That's who we're talking about. Oh, we're going to have a McCafe today. You know what, Paul? I got to try the hash browns. Just hanging. Old people love to hang out at McDonald's. That's who we're talking about.
Yep.
And for all you texting Ron Cook, maybe.
Was he a voter for Major League Baseball, too?
I don't know if he had a vote.
I think he is.
I think he. If you retire, I think you can still hold on to it, and that's
how many
part of the
voters
problem.
are there? Kelsey, do you know, or do you guys know, like how many people can vote per
I'm on
year? And like, can your status get revoked or whatever? Like, because like
In 2016, there were 440. Just the article that I was hovering over right there.
440 voters.
Yeah.
Wow.
How many baseball hall?
Wow. I didn't know it was that many. So you're saying? So say let's use that number.
394.
So 393 people unanimous, and one out of that many.
Mm-hmm.
That's just insane to me.
Meanwhile, Alex Rodriguez got 37% of the vote, and I get the whole steroid era, but how do you put some guys in from the steroid era and not everybody who's good in from the steroid era? He gets 37% of the vote. Alex Rodriguez is one of the greatest baseball players of all time.
Yep.
Manny Ramirez gets 34% of the vote. He's one of my favorite players of all time because he was weird like me and also just had a beautiful right-handed swing. He gets 34% of the vote. Andy Pettit, You want to talk about a clutch postseason guy? He gets 28% of the vote. Now, I understand that some of these guys were linked to steroids with a lot more smoke than some of the other guys. But put him in. Put him in. If you put any of them in, you have no idea who was using what and when.
Mm-hmm.
If you're great enough and you played during that era, you should be in. Period. Especially when everyone turned a blind eye, including Bud Selig, to the use of steroids because baseball was in a bad place coming off the strike. Hey, you can all use this. We're going to pretend like we don't see anything until then the reporting comes on. Oh, geez, I can't believe these guys were doing it. Shut up. Not to be critical.